The Mark Juried submissions is the first step that the admin user will take in preparing all of the submissions for notification once the jurors have done their job and juried all of your submissions. Now, the Mark Juried submissions is a command you can run that will mass jury in or out the submissions in your call based on the average jury rating value. And you can do that on a per category basis. And this is simply a status. When you run this command, it doesn't notify the users. They won't even be able to see the status until after the jury end date. So this is something you can sort of run and then finesse and tweak until you're ready to do the next command, which is where you actually notify the users. So in order to demonstrate how this works, you can see that all the categories I have set up are in here, and I can mark all submissions in any particular category as juried in, juried out, pending, or hidden from the jurors, where the average jury rating is greater than or lesser than a specific value. So let me demonstrate this in a particular category. I'm going to come down here to the submissions, and I'm going to filter my submissions by the fine art category. So I'm only seeing all the entries that are in the fine art category. You can see in the column here that I have only fine art enabled. Now, there's a few submissions that have been juried here, but it looks like most of them are 0, meaning they haven't even been juried yet. So I'm going to sort by the average here, and I'm going to go from top to bottom. So I'm seeing the top to bottom here and back into fine art. Okay, so you can see that my jurying is now, whoops, let me switch that back there, is now top to bottom. So my 5 stars are on the top all the way down to my 3 stars on the bottom. So I can see right now that if I was to come into the submission settings and choose 3.5, it would jury everything sort of above this breakpoint in, and everything below this would not be changed. Now I already have 2 that are marked in, so I'm going to manually jury these guys out so you can see how this works. So I'm just going to switch their status to pending. You can manually change any of those submissions you want. So I'll do that on the first one. I'll come back here to the second one, and I'll also change it to pending as well. So now I've manually marked each of those 2 submissions as pending. So you can see that 3.5, these 3 should be juried in. So let's go back here to the jury settings and down to the mark juried status. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the fine art category. I want to mark them as juried in, where the average jury rating, and remember this average is over all your jurors. So if you have 10 jurors that each rated the submission, it will automatically average all their votes and use that as the threshold. So the average jury rating is greater than 3.5. And whoops, make sure that's a period, 3.5. I'm going to select mark entries. Now when I run this command, it will tell me how many submissions were affected. So it looks like 3 submissions has been marked. Now if I go back here to the submissions and filter back by that fine art category, and I'll filter again by the average, so I'll sort rather by the average, you can see now all 3 of those are juried in. And then I would apply the exact same process and jury out the submissions that are below 3.5. So I could come back to my jury settings, go back to mark juried status. I could say fine art. I want to jury out where the average rating is less than 3.5, and say mark entries. And it says 0 submissions have been marked. And the reason for that is if we go look at this category again and sort here by the average column, there are no submissions below 3.5 that aren't already juried. This one should have been marked, but it's already juried out, so it's not going to re-mark it. It's already marked. And then all of these are currently 0, meaning there is no jury rating on these. So it can't choose a threshold if they haven't even been juried yet. So it will only mark submissions in or out that have in fact a jury rating associated with them. Okay, let's jump back here to this setting. One last thing here is you'll want to make sure that you complete the action both juried in and juried out for all of the submissions before you applied the next command.